I've been having these really, really good conversations lately with my friends and family. I literally was on the phone with one of my best friends the other day for 3 hours. And like the week before, I was on the phone with my brother for like almost 4. Okay, that's really the millennial in me talking that much on the phone. But one thing we just keep discussing, and like the main topic we keep talking about, is just how much we've changed and how much we've realized now that we're in our 30s. This is your Critical Crush, where we keep it cute, candid, and connected. I'm Theo, and let's get critical. There are so many nuances to life. There's so many complexities of life, but your 20s and when you're younger, it's more of a trial period. And I feel like your 30s and onward is more okay. Like, now I kind of see how this adult thing goes. Like, how can I kind of maneuver it so I can get the best out of it? So today's episode will be discussing all things when it comes to aging and life and just the nuances of it. I think aging and growing and evolving and just gaining wisdom in how this life works, I feel like we don't talk about it enough. A lot of times aging is talked about negatively, or the road to the path to when you eventually die is negative and wrinkles and all these things. But I really think there's just a lot of positivity and also just a lot to discuss when it comes to aging than always hating it or being scared of it. It's literally a part of life. The whole goal is to grow and to evolve. And as the one saying goes, which I don't remember who says the saying, but if you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not evolving, you're decaying. One thing I've definitely realized as I've aged is that life gets a lot more clear as we experience it. And I'm not saying it gets easier or anything like that. And I'm not saying it's not complex. But when you're a kid, when you're a teenager, even when you're a young adult, your parents and the world instill things in you to have this innocence about life and this lack of understanding about life. As you age, you start understanding the way the society works and how you fit in it. And I think understanding how you fit in society is very helpful of how you navigate it. Because I know for me, aging has given me a lot more discernment. And even though I don't want to become a cynical person, it has given me a little bit of cynicism in a way that I think is useful. But when I say discernment, I'm not talking about being cynical and thinking everybody's out to get you, but just really evaluating people and things. I think discernment, I know a lot of times we talk about it when it comes to people, but I think I'm trying to use discernment more too. Is this job right for me? Is this career right for me? Is this hobby right for me? Is this environment I'm in at this given moment right for me? Am I liking it? Am I enjoying it? Am I vibing with it? I think there's so many different ways we can use discernment, and I think that's another thing that I've realized as I've gotten older is how you utilize that and how important it is. Because, and this is one thing, if you listen to me, I'll always discuss, I talk about a lot on my social media, is that intuition and that gut moment in us and how powerful that is. I do think the universe gives us, even if you're spiritual or not, I think the universe gives us this internal superpower to help us protect ourselves and navigate ourselves in the best way that serves us. So I'm all about an intuition moment. I'm always about trusting your gut moment. And discernment to me is linked to that. And I think that is the powerful thing about being in your 30s and plus. When that thing starts clicking, you like, girl, what you say? Don't go there. Don't date them. Don't befriend them. Or keep your eyes open or be weary. That it shows up so much more, and then you appreciate it so much more. And it always makes me think of what my mom always said. She's always like, Jay, when you go out tonight, I know you're going out tonight, whatever, keep your head on a swivel. Pay attention to your surroundings. Keep your head on a swivel. And I always laugh when my mom says that, but she's being so real. But I think that is like your intuition as well. And I think that you can put that into so many aspects of your life. My mom ate with that, and I definitely utilized that, and I linked that yet again to my intuition and my gut moment. So with that, I definitely want to talk about the nuances of life and how it is important to understand that there is nuance to life and there's complexities to life, and how living in the gray is what aging has taught me. And I think aging has showed me that even though humans try to make these systems and try to create these systems, and some of them are super powerful, when it comes down to actually the human experience, it's so complex, it's so nuanced, and that life is always going to happen. Things are always going to happen, and you as a human are always ever changing and growing, that there's no way things can be black and white. Even the things you think are the most black and white aren't. And I feel like when I really started realizing that and understanding that, that's when life became more clear to me. And I started understanding how I'm really supposed to move in this world. Because for instance, I really realized how being a black person in society, even if you do right, the nuances, the jealousy, the haterade, the fact that some people just cannot believe that you are an educated black person, that you are a smart black person, that it is racism so locked in their brain that no matter what you do, you are always still gonna be, lack of a better word, a nigga to them. And every black person experiences this in different kinds of ways as they age. But I feel like that alone was showing me how complex and layered things are, and how just because you follow A, B, C, D, E doesn't mean you're going to get the things out of life that you expect, because respectability politics rarely serves a black person to the end of life. It's always a glass ceiling or ceiling to respectability politics. And I think respectability politics is just an aspect of how if you do the right thing, this will happen, or if you follow these rules, this will happen. But there's a lot more nuance to that. There's a lot more things you can't control that affect you. And that's why I think it's important to believe in nuance. And at this point in my life, at my age, curiosity is important. Being curious, skepticism, being skeptical, that is important. I don't really believe there's anything that's definite, anything that's black and white in life. Yes, there's legal things that I guess you can say are definite, like paying taxes, about stuff like that. But even then, who knows what the world will look like in another 50 years. But there's really nothing definite. So to have a definite mindset about things, I just think, to me, shows a lack of intelligence at this point. I'll give it to you 20s and below, but if you have reached 30s and you still are very definite about things and you don't see the nuances and layers in things, then that is just a lack of intellect and a lack of maturity. You are not utilizing your experiences in life to evolve and grow and understand that there's two sides to every story. Two things can be true. And one thing I cannot stand is somebody that don't get that. Lord, I cannot. That's the easiest way for me to exit a conversation, get away from a conversation, is when someone is not understanding that two things can be true, that things have layers, everything isn't yes or no. Because when people are absolute about anything, when they are so definite, it just feels so loud, and loud in a it's irritating my ear kind of way. Like, we can all believe certain things, we can all have things we're more passionate about, and trust me, I've been on the wrong side of this coin when I was younger, where I was like, this is this, or this is that, or what do you mean? But at the end of the day, everything has a layer you can peel back. And we also are influenced by so many things. So anybody at this point that is just so absolute about anything and they're loud about it, it's just like, get away from me, don't have the energy, because that just shows me that you can't have a depth. You cannot have a conversation with depth. You cannot have a conversation with substance, because you don't understand that everything is layered. Like, everything has pieces of it that make it is for a puzzle. And not to sound so metaphorically, I hope I'm not doing that too much on this episode. But I really think you have to look at everything like that. Like, everything is a puzzle. You got to put that stuff together. Everything is not built in a vacuum. What did Kamala Harris say about that coconut? Y'all know. So yeah, I really know that aging has really shown me how valuable it is to live life in the gray, know that life is gray, and it makes life more charming and more endearing, because it kind of makes life more like an adventure. Like, I don't know what's about to happen next, or I don't know, this may lead to this, or this may not lead to it, but what we're really supposed to be experiencing is the moment in the present anyway. Because I feel like thinking about systems and timelines and all these things that they put us in society, it's kind of boring. Like, traditional things, when people say that word, they usually mean boring. A more traditional lifestyle usually is boring. So I definitely think just believing more in the gray and that nuance really just kind of makes life more dynamic. So yeah. Okay, so next up, I definitely want to talk you through it. And this is always a segment where I kind of dive a little bit deeper. We kind of get more into my life experiences. I want to talk about life in 4 different ways that really matter to me, and honestly, the ways that I really feel like that I've grown and evolved, have built a better understanding of the layers of when it comes to living life. And that's gonna first be patience, then it's gonna be relationships, all kinds, career, finding yourself, part of life, and then the idea of parenting yourself, and this journey of adulthood that includes a lot of introspection, self-growth, all of that. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so when it comes to patience, and my mom will probably laugh at this. I've never been the most patient person. That is one thing my mom always just said, you need to learn how to be patient. The best news is the late news. My mom always used to say that when I was waiting for a job, to hear back from a job interview, or I was waiting to hear back from my scholarships, or if I was going to get into a certain college, all the things. My mom just always pushed patience on me. One thing that I'm really realizing as I've gotten older is that patience is a gift. When you have time to think, when you have time to really understand something, when you have time, as my therapist used to say, to respond and not react, that is a gift. Because time is one of the things you don't get back. So when you have an abundance of it, that really is a gift. And I am learning to stop always trying to push the button so fast in anything I'm trying to do, and to allow things to breathe, to allow things to have the space to do what it needs to do, or do what it needs to not do. Because I will say in my 30s now, I don't feel like there's so much pressure to get things done. And the pressure sometimes is what causes life to be chaotic and what causes life to feel inconvenient. When you take the pressure off of yourself, and time is such an element of that, you just feel so much of release. Even this week, I knew I had to film this podcast this week. I want to stay consistent with posting every week, and I also film it for YouTube, so it's like a whole thing you have to set up for. But I just wasn't feeling the topic that I had this week. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling excited about it. It just wasn't feeling like a conversation I wanted to have. And then I was reflecting back on these phone calls I had with my friends, and I'm like, you know what? I want to talk about that. And I used my little chat GPT to organize it a little bit, but I was like, I really want to talk about that. So that was an example of me waiting and not rushing the process this week to allow for, honestly, a conversation I know I'm having right now that I was excited about. So that's just one example, just an immediate example of how taking the pressure off can feel like such a release. And rushing less, it really allows me to choose more things. When you rush less, you have those moments to choose, to be like, is this what I want to do? Is this not what I want to do? To have those moments, to have the internal discussions about something. Because I think those internal conversations are important with yourself. And I think the time you have to do that is important. I think even the conversation you have with others about something, being able to weigh the pros and cons of something, be able to decipher, or just being able to ask yourself, do I really feel like doing this? And there not even needing to be a reason. Sometimes it's like, do I feel like going out? Do I feel like spending this money? Do I feel like talking to this person? When you have time and peace to think things through, sometimes you're like, I don't have a reason, but I just don't. And I think that's okay too. Okay, so something that in my adulthood that I used to rush, that I'm definitely not doing now, and I feel like I'm really seeing the wins from it, is developing friendships. I used to be someone, especially when I first moved to New York and when I moved to LA, I really always thought about TV, and I'm like, I want to have this dynamic friend group, and I want us to all be friends. I want us to all hang out and go on trips together, and we all know each other's inside jokes, and we're just this cute friend group. And it really shaped how I maneuvered with friends. And I do think that I used to rush and kind of love bomb friends. And I feel like they used to love bomb me, especially when you're in a new city and you're like, oh, I want to meet people. I want to have these bonds. I want to go on vacation with friends. All these things. I was just rushing the relationship. When you love bomb, you're not seeing the real tea. You are kind of having a fake, I want to say fake, but it's kind of like a disingenuous relationship. And I've noticed when you take your time with friendships, when you don't force friendships, when you are not trying to get to some end goal that you saw on a TV show, you get to truly learn people. You truly get to see how they operate. You get to see how you guys vibe together. And then I think it makes things like going on vacation, if you can with that person or not, easier. Because you've experienced them enough. You've seen their ups and downs, their traumas that they have, what things bother them, what things make them happy. So it makes going on a trip easier. I think a lot of times people have issues with friends on trips is because a lot of times you haven't developed a long enough friendship to understand if they're a trip friend or if they're a trip friend for you. I think when you experience people longer, you start understanding the dynamics to where it's like, I love my girl, but no. or he's a vibe, but not in that situation. Or this particular trip, I want to do this, so I know that's not their vibe. There's so much valuable information you get with time. And I think it's so much more fun to remain curious and skeptical of people, not even in a shady way. I think it's cool to have curiosity and skepticism longer. I think it allows you to ask more dynamic questions and build more vulnerable moments with a person. The more curious you are, the more you can explore your friendship and let it go at a more organic pace. Because there's definitely some friends I'm no longer friends with, and it was because of things I found out later about the friend. One of my friends, I met him in LA. We are no longer friends. He was just someone who, y'all, every time we would get together with my other gay guy friends, it was always an argument. It was always some drama. And the last two times it happened on July 4th and it happened on Thanksgiving. And it's like, now you're ruining holidays. You're doing too much. And I really do think this person has a lot of healing to do and growing to do. So this is not to throw stones at him. But one thing I didn't like about him was just that he was a very definite person. He also really believed that your experience, your sharing, is somehow judging his. So, for instance, one of the last things that happens between us, or just a thing that I learned from him, he was dating some new guy and was explaining to me how he met the guy and what the guy does for a living. And the guy, I believe, was a pool boy. And y'all, he just kept telling me, I know that wouldn't work for you, but it works for me. Or I know that wouldn't work for you because he's a pool boy. And I didn't even say anything negative about it. And my whole thing was like, I'm never going to be mean to someone who has a lesser income. I have my moments. I was a broke college student. I didn't come from money, all these things. Yes, I want to be bougie and affluent in life now, but I still have moments. And even right now, I'm working through some career transition where money is not where I would like it to be. So I can't sit here and judge other people. If that's who you want to date, that's who you want to date. Own it. Be confident in it. Love it. I don't understand why you're trying to make me feel ashamed for having a different standard. And I don't even say standard, just a different type of person that I would want to be with. But he used to do that all the time. So that's just one aspect in friendship. But another thing that really showed me how patience can really benefit you is my lock journey. So it took me 2 lock journeys, I guess, or 2 times me starting my locks to finally have locks. The first time I tried in New York, I got the starter locks. I hated them. I tried to rock with it for like a day. I also didn't like the way that the girl did them and took them out. And I was like, okay, when I move to LA, I'm going to get my locks. I'm going to stick with it. And I like the way that they started the locks. But there was definitely moments where I'm like, the dandruff, it's dry, it's looking crazy. The locks are going all different ways. I hate it so much. Like, and I just had to keep powering through. I kept watching all these YouTube videos and like all these people that are like, stick with it. Stick with it. You're going to love your locks. You're going to love your locks. You're going to be able to do so much with your locks. Blah, 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 blah. Y'all, I stuck with it. And after that first year, I started appreciating them more. I started liking them more. I started realizing how much you can do with locks style-wise and just how they can be so much more convenient when you have a style. Wake up, take your do-rag off and go. And I tell people this all the time, how my lock journey really taught me patience. I told my therapist this, and they're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you never know how patience can benefit you. And my hair, and me loving my hair now, was another example of that. Okay, so next I do want to talk a little bit deeper about relationships. And aging has really taught me, just because you love someone doesn't mean you're compatible with them. And we can outgrow people. I believe those are all the things in relationships that aging has taught me. And also that you don't need villains in your life. You don't need people causing chaos in your life. I think when you're growing up and you're watching TV and you see how your family operates and other people operate, you think arguing and all this drama all the time is important to relationships, and it's a part of relationships, and everybody does this, everybody does that. I am not someone that likes to be in chaos and drama. I'm going to exit stage left when that starts happening. And I've also realized that some people, that is their life. Their life is drama. Their life is chaos. Their life is a movie. So once you realize that, you realize the type of people that you can avoid. And it really made me realize the people that I need to cut out of my life, the people that I've outgrown, and even the guy I was talking about earlier that I'm no longer friends with. That was something that I'm okay with me realizing that, hey, you don't have the emotional regulation that I need in a friend for us to continue this friendship. So it's time for me to let you go. Because what we're not going to do is keep going back and forth and keep having conversations. I had many conversations with him. I had many conversations with him. And it gets to a point with anyone, not even just a friend, to where it's like, I cannot keep having the same conversation with you and you're honestly not at a place in your life to receive it. Because sometimes people just they're not there. They're not at a place of growth, healing, that you need them to be to even receive what you're saying. So that's my thoughts there. And one key point I forgot to speak on in patience that I do want to talk about right now is when it comes to patience, how when you are in your 30s and when you're older, you may be patient, but you're not going to give your time away. And I love that about your 30s because you really have more conviction on what you want to do, how you want to spend your time. When you see somebody wasting your time, you're way more quick to cut it. You're way more quick to understand that if I take time doing this, this is going to exhaust me from doing something else. What is the opportunity cost for me doing this? I can use this time with doing something else. I can use this time growing myself. I can use this time having fun. Okay, so next I really want to talk about the clarity you get as you age when it comes to your career and when it comes to you finding yourself. I really thought corporate was what I was going to do, what I was going to be doing forever. And I really thought I'd probably be like a VP right now, making all this money. I would have a husband, all these things. But that career just wasn't serving me. And even when I wanted the career, when I really wanted to pour into the career, it still didn't want to serve me. And I think that's the one aspect of aging as a Black person. I worked my butt off. I did everything that I was told. I won awards. I made these companies so much money. But it always was somebody that was like racist enough, just enough to block my promotion, to block my raise, to block me from being able to move to another team or whatever the case is. And I realized that, Jay, no matter what you do, as long as there's a haterade, racist person in the midst, you're going to be blocked because you are not a quiet person. You are not a passive person. You're going to speak your mind. You are going to show up. And a lot of people, especially racist people, do not like that out of a Black person. So that is one way my career kind of showed me, even though I fucks with you, you don't fuck with me. So I got to find a way to live this life where my day-to-day fucks with me. So that's why I am chasing a different career right now. I'm trying to really pivot myself, like I said before, in entertainment, content creation, even consulting. Like I was really good at my job. The system just wasn't a fan of me. And I only can push myself so much. It was getting to a point where it's like, this is gonna make me go crazy. And it was really making me second guess a lot of things. It caused depression. And even if there's ups and downs right now, you never know what's gonna happen. I have the experiences, I have the resume, but I don't wanna be anywhere in life, and this is what Asia has showed me, that doesn't want me there. And ultimately, it's just realizing that that level of success, that type of success, didn't align with me anymore. I really don't enjoy managing people. I met some really good friends through managing them, but managing someone is 2 jobs. And if you have a large amount of direct reports, that could be 3-4 jobs. And with my career, the only way to really move up in a big way is to manage people. And also, I didn't always want to move up. Sometimes it's like, I want more money, but I don't want to move up. I don't want to do more. And that was an aspect of within my career where I just was like, I don't always want to be chasing a promotion. I always want to be chasing and under pressure and thinking about the next thing all the time. Sometimes I just want to float. Sometimes I just want to be cool and coasting. And corporate world doesn't let you do that. It doesn't let you just coast. It actually judges the people that just coast and that just want to vibe. But I'm not saying I'm someone I'm not ambitious. But after a while, it's like, why do every day, every week, I got to be trying to do more, to achieve more? That is exhausting. And I will say, a lot of people I know in their 30s, it seems like they're having such a realization moment when it comes to career, what they want to do with their career, how to explore different elements of their career, how their skills are transferable. That's one thing I really learned too, is that in your 30s, that your skills are so transferable. What you did in this industry, you can do in another industry, or what you were good at work could be the thing that you start doing in entertainment space or content creation space, or you can also use your skills to help friends start businesses and do things. Like, you can find different ways to monetize your skill set. And I'm not saying it's easy. Everything is difficult. Trust me. But there are so many ways you can monetize the things you learn, the experiences you had. There's so much value in your own lived experience. And that's one thing my recent therapist taught me. He was like, you have so many experiences to pull from and to monetize. Like, there you go. And we try to humble ourselves and not look at our resume in a way that's like, how can I monetize this? I think we think more like that. We don't feel so trapped and locked down with work. I love seeing people being able to see how they can utilize their skill set so they don't have to feel like there's so much in the system. So yeah, that's another big way that aging has really shifted my views of working and career, and how it's really just added more value and kind of more fun to my day-to-day, to be honest. Okay, so now I want to dive in a little bit into parenting yourself and adulthood, because this is a key aspect of aging. And to me, honestly, where wisdom kicks in, I think you're a wise person when you understand that you are the one parenting yourself, and that your parents parenting you, yes, that's a lifelong thing for your parents, but also they kind of built more of the foundation, and they still can guide you through life, but majority of your life you're with yourself, and you know yourself the best. So understanding your boundaries, understanding your patience for things, understanding the things you really want in a life and how to navigate getting them, learning how to assess the risk of things, and that's where your intuition kicks in. But I also think that's where experiences kick in. I think a lot of decisions are made through experiences. So as you age, you have more experiences to pull from to then decipher how you move through the world. So I think all of that is so valuable, and you only gain that with age. And being resourceful is something that I really learned as I've aged, and something that I find so valuable. And yet again, even learning how to be resourceful, you learn that through your lived experiences. Or it takes a moment in life that was a hot mess for you to be like, okay, I'm never doing that again. This is how I move now. There's so many things I do in life now, and it came from a moment of chaos of where I'm never doing that again, ever, or this is why I'm doing this now. And it could even be something as simple as, I've learned that I'm a person to avoid fights and arguments on trips, because when you're around somebody for a long period of time, tension just builds anyway. No matter if they're your good friend, a new friend, a boyfriend, whatever. I've learned that I like having my own hotel room when I travel. Unless it's like a really, really specific circumstance, I really like to have my own hotel room, because it just allows there to be less opportunity for there to be drama, for there to be mess. Because humans are gonna human. When you're around each other a lot, things just happen. It doesn't even matter if you're the best of friends or worst of friends. I think sometimes it's just being in the vicinity of someone for too long. And that's one thing I realized for me as I've gotten older, and I parent myself in a way of like, you need to book a separate hotel when you go on that trip, Jay, because how things get. And not even to put all the weight on me. I just feel like other people, I know how other people can be. We all can have our particular ways we like to move and wake up and start our day and end our night, things like that. So that's just one example, one light example. I don't want everything to be so heavy in this conversation, but one light example, how you can parent yourself. And one deeper way of how I parented myself was really knowing when to seek help when it comes to therapy. I've had more than one moment in my life where I've had suicidal ideation, where I really did not want to be on this planet. Having the love for myself to be like, Jay, we need to book that appointment. Jay, we need to call your brother. Jay, we need to. Because those moments aren't pretty, and they're very vulnerable, but deep down, when you're trying to protect yourself, that parenting, your own like mama bear in you comes out, and it's like, I got you. So I wanted to share that, because I think parenting yourself could even be in those moments. Just want us all to understand that speaking and reaching out and asking for help is another way of parenting yourself, and there's no shame in that at all. There's no shame in that. Okay, so now to lighten the mood, let's definitely lighten the mood. Now we're going to move on to crush, crave, or crash. And this is where you get to learn a little bit about what I like in life, what I hate in life. And it's just also kind of lets me kind of do a download of the week and just things that I've noticed that is I have a positive view of, or I just have a skeptical view of, or I just have a nasty view of. So, first off, I always start with crush. My crush this week is going to be, it's kind of layered since we're talking about nuances. So, my crush really this week, as far as this topic goes today, is definitely people that live in the gray, people that live in nuance, people that live with a more layered view of the world. But my actual crush, my actual person is Candace Diller Bassett. I love Candace, and I love seeing her off Real Housewives of Potomac. I love Real Housewives of Potomac. I loved her on Real Housewives of Potomac when I watched it. She's my favorite cast member, but she's killing it on Traitors. I'm loving her on Traitors. She has moments where she talks a little bit too much sometimes, but for the most part, she is navigating it really well. I like how she shut down Portia. Like, girl, don't come in here with that. I like how she navigated it. She's very smart. I would love to see her on other shows like that, like a Celebrity Big Brother maybe. I mean, also just, I love to see her, even with her podcast, having conversations where she can just be herself and like she doesn't have to worry about these girls and lying on her. I'm just loving it. I love seeing how she is navigating this different environment. I also have one other crush. Sorry, I have so many crushes today. I usually am supposed to have one. Another one of my crushes is Dan Savage. He's the host of the Dan Savage Lovecast, my favorite podcast on this planet. He also is an author, an activist. He is heavily a part of activism for the LGBTQ community. He also is someone who really believes in ethical non-monogamy, and he really supports that on his podcast. But he's also someone who is very nuanced, very layered, very open to criticism. He is just such a dynamic human, and I just want to shout some love to him. He is also the reason why I wanted to do podcasting, because I love his podcast so much. And I used to follow him and like pay attention to him even when I was younger. I remember he was the one who pretty much had the lead and took the lead in the It's Get Better movement, where they used to make videos and tell gay kids it gets better as you age, it gets better. That was just such a dynamic moment in social media land back in the day. So shout out to Dan Savage. So those are my two crushes this week. Let me know what you guys think about that. So next up is my crave. Y'all know what? My crave was supposed to be Candace and my crush was Dan Savage. So those are my crush and my crave. Because my crush usually is just like a person that I really love, and my crave is somebody or something I'm obsessed with. So crave Candace, I'm obsessed with her right now because of all the different things she's doing with her career and how she got free of Real Housewives of Potomac and how she's not slowing down. She's about to make music. She's on Traitors. She has other things going on, and I love seeing her bask in her newfound career outside of the show. So that was supposed to be my crave, and that's how I was going to spin it differently because all the things she's doing right now. But shout out to both Dan Savage and Candace. Love both of them. Okay, so my crash this week. So my crash this week is going to have some nuance to it. It may be an unpopular opinion, but yeah. So my crash this week is twofold. My crash this week is the cast of Queer Eye, but it also is Karamo Brown. And I say that because, first off, as of right now, we don't know all the details as of what happened between them, besides there being some hot mic moment with Karamo's mother on the hearing some things that they were talking, hearing some gossip about Karamo that was coming from the cast. And I empathize with Karamo 100%. I definitely think there's definitely was bullying because he is a black gay man, a part of a very white, with some dashes of diversity in it, cast. So I know he was dealing with macroaggressions. I know he was dealing with probably like pay discrepancies, all the things you deal with being a gay black man. But my thing with Karamo is I actually know a little tea about him because I had a friend in LA that was pretty close to him, where I kind of understood how he kind of navigated the Hollywood industry. And this is all allegedly, but how he really knew how, as a black gay man, to utilize the white gays in his world to get to stardom and to get to success. And not that there's anything bad with kind of working the system. I'm never going to get mad at a black person for working the system. But I also feel like when you work a system, you also have to understand what consequences come with that. And when you focus so much on the white gays and you focus so little on your own community, because Karamo Brown with the black gays really say that he's a part of our community, that he shows up for our community, I don't think they would. And hey, I'm sure he donates and he probably does stuff for GLAAD. I haven't looked that heavily into what he does. But as far as being a voice for the black gay community, I would say it's a no. And as far as it being someone who shows the dynamics of being black and gay, don't see it. So I definitely feel for him. Also, no lie, and I'm not giving credit to the other cast members, but I also see him being an annoying person. I remember Karamo when he was on Real World. That's how old I am. So I am very well aware of Karamo Brown and how he moves. I don't know him personally. I'm not saying I don't admire him being able to have a successful career as a black gay man. But even when you look at his face, the filler and the stuff he has, it's like, who are you trying to be? He is a beautiful black man. You have all this stuff in your face, and I get the LA lifestyle, but it's just another aspect of you trying to be white adjacent that has now consequences because your face looks, honestly, no tea, no shade, y'all, but the face needs, I don't like it. But all to say is, I think there's layers to this. I think there's nuances to this. I'm always going to ride for a black person, but I definitely think there's consequences that happen when you separate yourself and when you aren't really a voice for your own. So I wish him well. I'm curious to see how this plays out, but I definitely think the whole cast, all of that is definitely a crash for me. I've always looked at Tan France with a side eye anyway. I did not like him on Next in Fashion. He is, to me, like, he is a very passive person. He moves where the wind blows type of person. So, yeah, that's my thoughts with Karamo. And so when it comes to the topic this week, what my crash is, I definitely think people that only speak and act in definites in black and white, that's my crash. If you are always loud with certainty and always like, it's got to be this, it's got to be that, I just think you need work, you need healing, you need to understand there's layers to things. I think having zero curiosity, zero skepticism is weird. I think that is weird. Ultimately, I just hate a definite asshole. I just do. So that's my crash for the week. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you agree, I'm definitely open to all of your criticism. But let me know what your thoughts are. Also, let me know what your crushes, craves, and crashes of the week are. I'm interested to know. So every episode, I want to end with a critical question. And this week's critical question is, what's one thing aging has softened in you, not hardened? With this question, I really want you to reflect and think about, as you've aged, how have you found more peace in life? How have you learned to have more grace with yourself? Those kind of things. Like in a way of like, how has aging softened you in that way? And I want you to reflect. And if you want, drop a comment, no pressure. Y'all, this was such a fun conversation. I love talking about getting older, getting wiser. I hope this sparks something in you. We all age, we all have to grow, we all have to evolve. So with all that said, as always, stay cute, stay curious, and keep it critical.